Good morning, fellas. As promised, I want to make a video on the radio I put in the Jeep. It's an ATOTO S8 Premium 10-inch screen from ATOTO. I'm in love with this radio. Now, I had a Pioneer in here before, you know, the old school Pioneer Super Tuner thing. And I was going to get, when I got this radio, I was going to get new speakers and all that for it. But I didn't do that. I hooked it all up. And the wiring this thing up, it has every wire on the back of it has a tag. Tells you where everything goes, which I like. And plus, on the top of the radio, if you pull it out, the top of the radio, there's a wiring diagram too with wire colors, a tag that tells you where everything goes. There's a lot of connections on this thing because it does a lot. It's got GPS. It's got a Wi-Fi antenna that I haven't connected yet, but I got to pull it back out because I got some other things. That's the thing about it. It got me so amped up with stereo stuff that I kind of got off the turbo thing and got sidetracked with the stereo because I've never had a good stereo in here, and you can't hear the radio inside this Jeep. But with this thing, I don't know what it's putting out. It's got a heat sink on the back side of it. I didn't look at the wattage of the radio, but it's like I hooked an amplifier to all these speakers in here. And even these old junky ones, which I got new ones I'm going to show you in a minute, but even these old junky ones that I got in here, those aren't junky, but this thing sounds so good. What got me into being an electrician was back in the day when I was a teenager. You know, all of us in our 40s, we was around when, you know, the stereo stuff was big. You know, it blowed up in the 80s and 90s. And that's what got me into electronics. I used to do stereo systems and dB drags and all that kind of stuff. And we used to have crossovers, passive crossovers, active crossovers, all this stuff to set up your stereo to make it sound right. Well, this thing here has got a digital sound processor built into it. Let's take a look at it. And it makes it so cool. And you can set it up. It comes on really fast. I mean, it's basically an Android tablet with a radio hooked to the back side of it. It's basically what it is. And the install on it in a Jeep XJ, it's kind of tricky. You have to get a double DIN kit. Here, let me pull the face out real quick. I don't have it bolted in. I don't have it screwed in yet, but this just slides out. And this is what the install looked like. If you see, I had to cut up in here for this piece so it can plug in. Well, there's 3 screws up here that I have to fasten. So I still got to take the vents back out, and I'm going to drill 3 holes here, 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 where I can put the screws in there, which I've had it stuck in there like that, just plugged in since I put it in there. And see, it's fully adjustable. The 10-inch screen's kind of big in an XJ. It doesn't cover up that. You can still get to it and stuff the way I got it positioned right here. And you can change this all kinds of ways. There's all them holes, and then you got these holes on the side for angling it. And then you can move it up and down. And the connections on the back, everything is easy to wire up. I mean, also I'm going to have to, you see on the side here, this is for recording off of a forward-facing camera. You can take and put an SD card in there, which would be good for us. Put an SD card in there, and you got all these connections on the side too for different things. It's all in the instructions. An auxiliary in, and an SD card goes there, which I could put an SD card in it because I probably will never use these things here. But I could put an SD card in it without having to cut anything. But it's actually got a forward facing camera you can record with, which is cool for us on Jeeps because we like to record our stuff, and that just slides back in there like so. So you pull that off, you could, I mean, I'm not gonna leave it like that, but it's been that way since I connected it, and I've been riding around playing with the radio, and it's never come loose or anything, but probably needs to be bolted in because I did put some subs in the back. The only thing I don't like about this thing is it made me spend a bunch of money on stereo stuff because it kind of took me back to my younger days, and this thing's got such built-in features to it that I just could not resist it. I wanted to see what it sounded like. Let me close the back hatch to get that glare off of it, and we'll go through what it does. Yeah, see? 4-channel. This is going to be for the highs. All new speakers. We'll get to the radio. It was back here. Sorry about the dogs barking. That's all they do. We're going to run this amp. We're going to run this amplifier at 2 ohms. And it puts out 250 by 4 at 2 ohms. And I've got, these are going in there. So we're probably going to go in here and disconnect the tweeter. These are marine speakers, so in the mud and the water and stuff, maybe they'll last a little bit longer. I like these. I don't know what they're going to sound like yet, but I got 4 of these. These are going to go in the doors with these, and then 2 of these in the sound bar with 2 of these, and that'll put it at the amplifier at 2 ohms by 4. We got 6-way RCAs where we can just run one cable to the back, fuses, and I've got, this is 1 aught. We're going to take this 1 aught and do away with the 4 gauge going up to the front to connect my back batteries, and we're going to run 1 aught. And we're also going to put 1 aught to the winch. I got a bunch of heat shrink. This came with the other amplifier that's already in there. We got 16 gauge for the highs. We got 8 gauge for the subs, which it came pre-wired, but we're going to take it apart and put 8 gauge in it, and I'm going to wire those subs up 1 ohm because it's running at 2 ohms now, and the amplifier's in there. This is the subs that I got. These are 12-inch. This amplifier here is a Class D 1200 watts RMS, and it puts out too, because I watched them dyno it. Now back in the day when I was doing, I know we're on the radio, but y'all know how I am, we'll get to it. Back in the day when I was doing this stuff, I had a 2250 Beast, which is an Orion amplifier, and it was 250 watts by 4. It was 500 watts RMS is what the amplifier was, and that thing was super loud. And I had a 300 watt same thing. It was a 2250 Orion amplifier. Back in the day, that was the stuff. But these things are 1200 watts, and it only pulls 120 amps because of the new power supplies that's in these things. It's the same thing with that radio. That radio has a MOSFET power supply inside of it, and it'll put out a lot more power without drawing your headlights down and all that stuff. The old 2250 Beast that I used to run had two 150 amp wafer fuses inside of it, like these. Had 2 of them. That thing pulled 300 amps. You had to have, that's where I learned to do the batteries at, the 2 6-volts in the back, because of my days doing the amplifiers. But if you didn't have 2 6-volts in the back, and even back then they didn't have high amp alternators like they do now. I mean, you could get them, but they were like way expensive back in the day. But what I'm saying is, this thing, 1200 watts RMS, pulls less power than a 300 watt RMS amp did back in 1989. That's how much the technology, or 1990, probably one when I had that thing. That's how much the technology's changed, and it's a lot smaller amplifier. You can see how big it is, and this thing puts out like crazy. The only reason this one is 1,000 watts RMS, the only reason it's so much larger, see, it's a lot bigger, because it's a full range amplifier, so it's got more stuff in it on this end. The power supply is probably that much of it, and then the rest of it is all the stereo stuff. Now this amplifier here would be a good one to run everything if you didn't want it real loud, because you could actually run 4 high speakers on this top and 4 subs on this, because you have, and it's got a fan built in the back of it, because you have a crossover on the back side of it for each channel. You could actually run half sub, half, you know, highs, but that amplifier there came with that sub box in the kit. But this thing is super loud. The only reason I'm hooking up the radio, to say something about the radio is loud enough high on the high side that you could keep the bass knob about halfway on this 1200 watts, and it's pretty much balanced. But past that, you know, the bass out, if you didn't mind having a balanced system, which is what I want in here, I want something that sounds really good, that radio is loud enough to be the high side of this amplifier and these subwoofers. And they come in a kit, and it's like $3.99 or something from Scar. And these suckers, it makes the roof want to buckle if you turn it up. But that's not what I'm after in this. I want good sound, trail Jeep, navigation, backup camera, all that stuff. And when I'm riding, I like to listen to the radio. So, and we already had the batteries back here, so why not? So let's get on the radio. Let's close this back hatch, get the glare out of there. Let me pause y'all and get me something to drink. I'll be right back, and we'll talk about this bad boy. I am very, very, very impressed with this thing. Company ATOTO sent it to me to review. They gave me the radio to review and tell me what they think, what I think about it, tell you guys what I think about it. And I'm not saying it because they gave it to me or anything. If it was junk, I'd tell you. But this thing is well worth the money, because in the Jeep world, we need navigation for in the woods. This thing, you can go on your YouTube, you can go on your Facebook, you can go on anything. You can link it to your phone, hotspot your phone, and use it for a signal. Or you can use Wi-Fi. I don't have the Wi-Fi antenna hooked up right now, and I'm on Wi-Fi. So it's picking up Wi-Fi without the antenna. It's a really good deal. And there's some off-road GPS applications that you can get, apps, and put on here. You can download them right onto this. This is basically an Android phone. It does everything your phone does, but more. You know, if you got an Android phone, you'll zip right through this thing like nothing. It's nothing to it. But they got like trail apps, and you put in there where you're riding at, and you download a map of that area, and then you can use it in your navigation on this thing. And all this navigation stuff's already hooked everything up. You got to set it up kind of like your phone. You got to put your Google account and all that stuff in there and set it all up, but it's pretty cool. Let me pause y'all for a second. I'll be right back. Alright, had to get me some agua. Anyway, there's been a lot of people that's did reviews on these radios, and I found a few of them on YouTube, and ATOTO wants me to mention certain things and how you do this and how you do that with it. But my channel, you guys, we're Jeep people, so I'm gonna go over what we would need, and it's easy to figure out all the stuff on it. So if you're connected to your phone, which we are right now, you can make calls on it. You can go to your, say you got Spotify on your phone, you're connected straight to that. You got all your contacts in there. We ain't gonna go there. But you put your home button, takes you back. Just like your cell phone, you got different applications. It's all your quick stuff where you just want to Netflix, whatever. You can go on your Facebook, YouTube, and it's also, I got let's go, Torque app, which is right there. That little red light stays on all the time, even when it's connected. I mean, not connected, but it's not affected my battery or anything. It's just always on. I guess it's showing you it's connected. But you go in your Torque app. If you have that, you can get that thing for like 20 bucks. Look at this Mustang. He's always getting on that thing. There's your gauges if you crank it up. They're small, but I don't use this one. I downloaded an app that I've been working with. I haven't finished it yet. I built this one here, but I want to change the color to blue. But you can go in there and modify what you want on here. Torque, horsepower. Now this stuff here in this app, you have to put the weight of the vehicle in, stuff like that, and I haven't did that yet because I don't know what Betty weighs. The load on the engine, your voltage, air intake temperature. That is the water temperature. Now I don't know why they got WAT, but that's the temp. Map sensor. Y'all know, for a gearhead like me, it's pretty cool. That part of it is. We wanted it for that. And that glare, see how that glares on there? It shows up more on camera than I can see it. I mean, it's not bad. And you can go in there and change that too. And also, I have it hooked up to, let's get out of here. That's that part of it. I have it hooked up to the dimmer on the radio, so it dims with the lights on. And this is what got me excited with it the most. Well, let me show you this. This is your Google Maps. It's got your location on it, all that kind of stuff. It's all your navigation. And this is what got me, man, is that so much. This is your front speakers, your rear speakers. It's got a sound field. It's got a digital like crossover, a digital processor for your music in it. You can change this is where you're sitting at. You can change it to the co-pilot, and it'll automatically make it louder for that person, or put all of it to the rear, all of it to the driver, like that. You can move it around. And let's go back. There's your sound field. All to the back. So we got that back on all. You go to your bass filter. This is your electronic. Basically, it's a crossover, and it's got so much stuff in it. It's crazy. You can set your speakers, like if your speakers are 50 hertz to 250 on the back, if that's not what the speaker says it runs at, and see you're on the front right here, you can set your speakers, which is what them run at. I looked, they're 50 to 250, so you can set them at 50 and they don't never get a response below that. So it's a electronic crossover built into it. You go to That's your bass filter, your sound field. You got bass boost, and you can boost it the same way. You just go up and down 200 hertz. You could boost whatever you want. You could turn it off. You want to boost 54 hertz, you can add that much to it. It's a digital processor for music. It's bad. It's cool as crap. Same thing with the subwoofer. You can change your subwoofer, the loudness of it, what you want it to run at. And time correction. This is cool too. It delays the, like, I've got it all monkeyed up right now because I've been playing with it, but that needs to be there. You can delay the sound of the speakers front to back. There's a digital processor for that. It's freaking cool as all get out. If you like music and you like good sounding music, it's crazy. What you can do with this thing. Rear speaker boost. Okay, say you got your delay set up how you want it. You can turn the back speakers up louder than the front, or you can turn them down the same. You can delay sound from this front right to front left and rear and all that stuff. It's really cool. But this is what got me excited about it when I started playing with this, because I'm telling you, this radio by itself it's louder than any radio I've ever had, you know, stock. And I ain't just saying it because they sent it to me. It's a good deal. You got Google on it. Let's switch the Jeep off. See, it pops right back up. This is all my plug-ins where I looked up my Torque app stuff, and you could do all that on the radio. You got your YouTube. Let's see what else we can say about it. You can go in and change all your settings. You Bluetooth to it right here. That's all your Bluetooth stuff to connect to it. It's connected to my phone. And that's contacts. Your phone, you make phone calls on it. Your dial pad. This is the radio, this icon. So, and it picks up lots of more stations than if you've got a brand new truck, and the new truck radios and car radios have a bunch of stuff in them. It's kind of like that too. It's got all that stuff built into it. You got back buttons up here. And I put the Jeep thing on there. You can change your backgrounds and put, you know, if you want to put your wife and your kids on there, you can. All that kind of stuff. Let's see. Let's go to your auxiliary inputs. That's for your video signal for the front camera. And your forward cams right here, which I don't have hooked up yet. It's got a DVR built into it, so we can record on the trail. There's no camera hooked to it. I gotta get one, but there's not one hooked up to it, so we can go back. I totally have been playing with this thing since I put it in here. You got Play Store. You can go in and upload apps and blah blah blah. Pandora. All your settings. You can put steering wheel setups on it too, which I'm thinking about doing because you always playing with it. But you got steering wheel set up here, and you can set all your buttons up on your steering wheel, which my Jeep never had. It just had a cruise control on here, which has been unhooked forever. But I might be able to use these buttons. I don't know. I can try. But that's all that stuff. You could put your buttons on. You can get a thing. You can get a pad that goes on your steering wheel for all your controls for the radio. And you can move, see how it's just like your phone too. These icons on the front are ones I've placed on the main screen. You just go in your settings and your device, and you put on your display, and you can change your wallpaper, your background, just like a phone. Your sound, the loudness, you can turn that up or down. If you hook an amplifier to it and you use the remote turn on the back of the radio, you have to turn it on here. It's easy, you just turn it on or off. Then your audio setup is all this stuff that I already showed you. It's a digital sound processor built in to this sucker right there with that time correction. And this right here, they didn't even have back in the day when I was doing it. They had this stuff, but it was a passive crossover that you had to have separate from the radio, and you adjust, you know, the knobs. Well, all of those knobs are right there. And you didn't have the time correction stuff, which is so cool to me, because it actually makes a difference. You move these around and you get it how you want to listen to it, and it makes the music sound so good. You can turn it off or on. But this is what made me spend all the money on the subs and stuff, because I love this kind of stuff. I'm a geek with it. I went to technical school for electronics and got an associate's degree in electronics years ago when I first got out of high school. I was 17 when I went there, 19 when I got out, and when I went to work on the electric lift trucks. So electrical stuff's always interested me. Let's see what else I can show y'all. I ain't gonna make this an all-day video. We gotta hook that stuff up. But I'm very impressed with this thing. I love it, and I would definitely recommend it. Especially if you like music and if you want something that sounds way better than your factory radio, you hook this thing up in your Jeep in an XJ like I did. Like I said, you got to get a double DIN setup. You got to kind of modify the faceplate to go in there, but it ain't nothing we can handle with what we do with these Jeeps. I highly recommend this thing, but just for the navigation. Also, I got backup camera hooked up, which is going to be nice in the woods. I don't really care for this backup camera. I've tried to change things on it and stuff, but it's, you know, it was a cheap camera. I could get a different one. See how it kind of looks like it's looking out of a hole? I mean, it works. And also you can go in on the camera. Let's go back. And I got it. All you do is, there was nothing special I had to do in here. You hook the backup camera up. All of us with an XJ need a backup camera, because these things get mud all over the windows and you can't see crap. And I have wanted one forever, and I didn't really know how I was going to do it. But I've got it right here. I screwed it to the light. I know y'all probably like, what the hell, but this is easy to replace. I didn't want to put holes in my metal, so I just put it right here. And all this is heat shrink down in here. And there's a wire. There's a signal wire going to the radio, and then you got a turn on wire for the camera. What you do is you run it down and you run it into your tail light. And as soon as your tail light comes on, the camera comes on. So that makes it easy for us to install. The only wire you got to run up front would be this main wire here that's got a RCA jack that plugs into the rear camera connection on the back of the radio. That's the camera I got. They didn't send me this. I bought this myself. They did send me the radio, and they sent me the USB. And this, I mean, this is just a plug-in that plugs into your OB2 port. If you're 96 up XJ, it would work. But I got the backup camera hooked up. I can't really show y'all what it sounds like because YouTube will flag it. So Other than that, I was going to show y'all on the camera. Let's see here. There's your backup camera. And that's another thing. It splits the screen for some reason. I'm going to see if there's an application to change some of this, because I want it like my truck, you know, the whole screen is this. And I've tried everything to get it to do that, but it's almost like this is the default setting for it. You can go in there and change it in your settings. Let's see here. In the system. General. See here, like the mirror display of rear camera. You can turn that off and on. That's that second part. You can display the front camera after reversing. You got your guidelines that you would, you know, like a stock new truck would have. You can take and turn your volume down or mute it when you put it in reverse. I got it turned down to 7 when I put it in reverse. You can auto mute it in reverse. I'll turn that back off. If you do that, it tells you what you can set your volume at 10 or whatever. And there's your steering wheel key set up and all that, notifications for apps. Now if we go back, now we have our backup lines. So I kind of like that better because it gives you kind of a view of where a tree's at or something on this side, because I backed into stuff and ruined my back hatch before with this thing. The only thing I don't care about is the rear camera, but I picked it. Probably could have got a more expensive one, but that one's waterproof and you can mount it outside, so that's what I got. The good ones I seen mount inside. But that's about it. I mean, it's a cool deal. Like I said, I'm going to go on to Google Play, and there's a trail app. Let's look and see if we can find it. I think I'm offline. Yeah. I ain't hooked up to the Wi-Fi right now. I got to hook the Wi-Fi antenna up. It's not hooked up, but see, I got a little bit of a signal off the phone right now. It's from the Bluetooth. I gotta hook the antenna up. I just didn't do it yet. I didn't really see it in the box until I got done. This is the GPS antenna. And anyway, there's an app for trail riding, and this thing makes it to where you can have it offline. You can even do your tire sensors. They got tire sensors things you can put in there. But I'm gonna get that app for the off-road GPS. I could put the forest in that we ride in, or whatever forest we're going to that weekend. I could download the map, have it on out of my Play Store, get the app, put the address or wherever it's at in there, and then boom, it'll pop that map up. And then when you're riding, you won't be going in circles. But this has always been a trail Jeep. This is all I've used this for. Yeah, it's got 40s on it because we ride in the swamps and stuff, but basically this is a trail Jeep, and it's always been that. And having this is a godsend. Having the GPS, the backup camera, some good tunes, Google, all that stuff is sweet. The thing's easy to operate. I mean, there ain't nothing to it. If you've ever had an Android phone, it's the same thing. But that's about it, guys. That's about all I can say about it. You can put your music, you can download music to an SD card and put in it and save it. You could put Spotify on here. Pick out, like, you know, when we're in the woods, you're not gonna have a Wi-Fi signal. You'll have a GPS signal, but you're not gonna have a Wi-Fi signal. You're probably not gonna have a phone signal. So what I do is I go and I have Spotify. I get my music set up that I like, and I download the music to the radio or to the phone right now. And then when you get in the woods, you can just play your music that you like. Well, you can do that on this radio too. You don't have to do it on the phone. But I just got it on my Spotify on my phone. I've always had that. The Torque app's cool. I love it. Here's my race meter, which I want it to be blue and I ain't figured out yet. Look at that map. We almost at sea level. Well, we are at sea level, 14.5. Air intake temperature sensor, water temperature, voltage. But that is my review on the ATOTO S8 Premium 10. Now for an XJ, if you're blind like me, a 10-inch screen be cool. This is underneath it. You know, it don't take up all the space. And that's above it. The vents look like they're blocked, but they're not. I have to turn them up or whatever, but that's as low as I can get it to go down. That's as low as you're going to get this radio to go down, because there's two little shelves that it slides in on, and you could cut them if you wanted to. I made a video on how to install this thing. You could cut them and drop it down if you wanted to, or just get an 8-inch screen, and it would be, you know, they measure from here to here, from here to here. So an 8-inch screen would be probably perfect. That's it, fellas. I don't know what else I could show you. You can take and brighten it up and darken it up just by touching that. If you're playing music, you can mute it right here. Mute it real quick. I like that it's got buttons for volume up and down, and you don't have to touch anything because our hands will be muddy. But I'm probably going to get the hand controls for it. That way when I'm riding, I can just... I got a mount bass knob. Hey, on another note, I learned something today. Every day I drive the Jeep, I learn something new. I figured out today, y'all know I like to raise heck in the mud. If you put this rad design rock shifter in first gear, this switch is for overdrive. Overdrive, power off to the switches, power on to the switches, right? If you take the power off of the switches, it automatically puts this thing in fourth gear. So I learned today, if you turn the power off to the switches and you hold it on the floor, as soon as you turn this on, it goes right into first gear without banging anything, and it's like a trans brake. I was out here doing it in the driveway. The wife thinks I'm freaking crazy, and so does the neighbors, but I am a little crazy, so they ain't totally wrong. But boys, I'm gonna get on this thing. This is for the winch. You find some goodies out there? You want to make electric motor perform better? That's number 4 going into the winch. This is 1/0. We're going to 1/0 it to the winch. And also, when I made this, we hooked this winch up, instead of doing it the right way, I was in a hurry. So all that power cable is wound up in here and stuff down in there. That's a no-no, but I did it anyway. Doing away with all this, all that stuff. Gonna run 1/0 to the battery. I'm gonna run, I already got a number 4 coming from the alternator up to here. Number 4 cable, charging cable. And this is my charge wire going to the back for the batteries. That's gonna go to 1/0. So we're gonna have 1/0 to the starter, to the battery pack, to all the amplifiers, the ground side, and we're gonna run it to the winch. So we're gonna have 870 cold cranking amps, plus what these two 6 volts put out. These are sealed, maintenance free 6 volts. 2 of them, so they probably put out at least 1200 1200, maybe 2000 cranking amps. I got fuses. We're going to change. These are 4-gauge inputs to these. I'm going to change all this setup. These are 4-gauge wire inputs. We're going to convert them to 1/0. We're going to run 1/0 on everything if I got enough wire. And we run it through the Jeep. I'm going to run this through the Jeep to the battery. This is going to go over it. This is heat shrink, and we're going to heat shrink the whole cable where it runs through the Jeep, so we ain't got to worry about it shorting out. And plus I have a piece of heater hose that I think this will fit through that I'm using now to run the number 4 through the back seat and up front, just in case somebody puts something under there or whatever. And I got fuses and stuff. I'm gonna put a probably about a 400 amp fuse going to the input up front back here into the winch and stuff, just in case something happens. And I also have a quick disconnect right there for the battery pack in the back. But fellas, I guess I'll see y'all soon. I'm ready to hook this stuff up where I can get it over with and get on something else. These right here, I'll say this real quick, y'all know how I am. I bought these online and I didn't pay attention. They were like $40 something, where I ain't got all them, you know, all that junk all over my battery, you know, cobbled together. But I got these and I didn't realize until I got them, they're aluminum. If you buy these, don't get aluminum. Aluminum does not conduct electricity very well. Now this is 6160, which is conductive grade aluminum, but copper or brass would have been better. Even metal would have been better than this. But I didn't realize it till I got it. And also, you see how thin the threads are to where you tighten it down. So that's going to be an issue too. But it is what it is. I'll use them for now. I was going to send them back, but I lost the top to the box because I'm a goofball. When I get all this hooked up though, these are 120 amp fuses. I already got 120 amp in there. So we're going to 1/0 the whole Jeep. We're going to 8-gauge this box inside to the amplifiers. And I wish I could do something with my headliner, but I'm not going to mess with that today. This will be another project. Take all this out and do the inside up. Alright fellas, that's a update. That's a review on the radio. I love it. I'd highly recommend it. I will ask the company if I can get a coupon code for some money off on it, because I would like y'all all to have one of these things. It's pretty daggum cool, and I've been blasting it for, see, when I showed y'all look back the video, it's been 2 or 3 weeks I've had this thing in here playing with it, and I'll run it with the subs. You can run it all the way wide open just like that. It still sounds good and it's loud. But I've ran it like that every time I've went out like a teenager, and it's not failed or cut off or anything. I've even went riding in the woods with it, bumping on the dirt roads, and it ain't come loose without him being bolted in. But it needs to be bolted in. I just ain't got to it yet. But y'all take it easy. I will holler at y'all later. I am off the turbo thing for the second minute anyway. I've got to figure out how to keep mud out of this radiator. I just had to go wash it out. The whole thing. Y'all alive? Where'd y'all go? Sorry, I dropped you. We got to figure this out. I mean, more power is great, but if you can't keep mud out of the radiator already, then what we gonna do? I watched it come over the hood in front of it and just, so we're gonna go in. I'm gonna pull this back out too, put screen behind it, make it pull air from down there if it gets stopped up, but at least it'll keep it out of the radiator. Because you get on the trails and you fill this thing up in the summertime, it's going to run hot, and there ain't no way to clean it out in the woods. And I have got to fix that before we give it any more power. But I'm telling you, since I did that tune on it, it's totally different. And I hit second gear, used to it want to die down because the timing was so low. Now it just covers the windshield up and fills the radiator full of mud. So I went and washed the engine off a while ago. That's another thing. I want to go in here. I know I'm all over the place as usual. I want to go in here and fix all these little holes going into here. Y'all take it easy. We'll holler at y'all next time. Y'all have a good weekend, man. All right, bye.